Imagine this scene for a second. You're in your kitchen. It's 7 o'clock at night, and she enters with that expression. You recognize it instantly. That face that knots your stomach before she utters a word. Not because she yell. No, yelling would be kind. Yelling would be straightforward. Instead, she exhales softly. That tiny let-down breath that conveys volumes beyond any speech. And right then, you sense yourself diminishing, turning into something smaller than you were moments before. And here's the cruel twist. The element that will force you to reevaluate it all. She believes she's acting sensibly. She views herself as the composed one, the tolerant one, the anchor keeping everything steady while you, it's pitiful, insufficient you, simply can't manage to do things properly. Allow me to share an insight that required 37 years for me to grasp. A lesson drawn not from texts or workshops, but from observing my own spirit being systematically broken down bit by bit. A lady doesn't require shouting to demolish a guy. She doesn't need to hurl dishes or bang entrances. All it takes is that potent mix of letdown and privilege that reduces an adult male to a child frantic for his mom's nod. And the most disturbing aspect, we permit it, almost plead for it. Because buried in our conditioning, we've learned that a lady's joy is our duty, that her mood is our evaluation, that if she's dissatisfied, we've flunked as males. I recall being in my flat 3 years back. It's utterly solitary for the first occasion in 10 years. And comprehending something that ought to have been clear, yet wasn't. Each choice I'd taken over those 10 years, every last one. From the career I pursued, to the clothes I selected to my morning meal, had been screened through the prism of what would she feel, not what do I desire. Not what's optimal for me, not what logical, but what will please her. What will dodge that expression? What will avert that breath? What will at last suffice? You curious about the response? 0 ever suffices for a person who regards you not as an equal, but as a task, not as a person, but as a supplier of benefits, not as a male, but as a letdown in waiting. You get it? There's this enchanting myth we've all bought into. It's a storybook tale declaring, if you merely adore intensely enough, forfeit enough, supply enough, she'll eventually recognize your value. She'll eventually value you. She'll eventually morph into that tender, affectionate being you believed you were wedding. But here's the reality. And heed this well, because it could spare you decades of torment. The greater you offer, the lesser she esteems you. The greater you forfeit, the more she demands. The greater you strive to satisfy her, the more repulsed she grows by your frailty. It's not a glitch in the setup. It's an intended trait. It's the way the entire mechanism is built to function. Let me sketch for you how this demolition unfolds. Focus, because you might be enduring it this instant, without awareness. It commences with the belittling, the refined skill of rendering all you accomplish trivial, anticipated, the absolute least. You labor 50, 60, 70 hours weekly. Well, that's simply what guys do. You repair items in the home. It's standard grown-up behavior. You interact with the children. Bravo. You're performing what all dads ought to. Want an award? You arranged a pleasant meal. Other spouses organize trips to Europe. You got her blooms. They're incorrect. Shade her fine. But you did it only from remorse. Observe how fast thankfulness vanishes from the bond. When did she last truly express thanks for anything? Not that casual acknowledgement tossed casually, but sincere, deep gratitude for your actions, for your essence, for the load you bear. You aware why she skips the thanks? Because to her you're not granting favors, you're meeting duties. You're satisfying the basic specs of your role as her guy. And no one expresses gratitude to staff for appearing at the office. But heaven help if you omit thanking her for each minor act. She prepares supper. You'd better behave as if she's a master chef. She handles washing. That's an epic deed of altruism. She tends to the children you both chose to have. She's a holy figure, a sufferer, a superhero incarnate. And if you neglect to recognize her inputs, if you don't adequately revere her labors, you're a thankless jerk who fails to value all she contributes to this household. The next tool in her kit, and this one's especially nasty, is dominance masked as worry. Where have you been? Who were you seeing? Why the delay in replying? I noticed you active at 11:47, but your reply came at 11:52. What occupied those 5 minutes? She'll present it as concern for you, curiosity about your routine, engagement in your world. But her true aim is attaching a tracker to your essence, ensuring you realize every instant of your being is open to her judgment and scrutiny. And this is where it turns truly twisted. The more you yield to this oversight, the more you aim for openness and adapt to her dominance cravings, the more she scorns you for it. Because at her core, she doesn't desire a guy she can dominate. She craves a guy beyond her dominance, yet who opts to stay regardless. But she can't restrain herself. She must probe, must prod, must discover your limits of endurance. In each instance you endure it. Each time you surrender your device without objection. Each time you detail your whereabouts and companions. Like an adolescent updating guardians, a fragment of her desire for you fades. This perpetual oversight breeds what I term anticipatory immobility. You cease activities not due to wrongdoing, but since justifying them will be draining. You skip the drink with your pal because the questioning later isn't justified. You avoid that alternate path home because she queried the extra 10 minutes in travel. You forgo that fitness center because she'll assume you're aiming to attract another. Gradually, deliberately, your universe contracts until the sole secure zone is beside her, performing precisely as anticipated, embodying precisely whom she desires, which is no one whatsoever. Now, let's address disputes. The routine battles she vows she detests, but inexplicably keeps igniting. Every dialogue turns into a danger zone. Every exchange, a possible clash. Every varying view, a partnership emergency. But here's the key to grasping these disputes. They're not concerning the utensils or your dishwasher loading method or overlooking the dairy. They're concerning authority. They're about confirming your position. They're about maintaining you in perpetual guarded tension where you're eternally incorrect, eternally regretting, eternally attempting amends. She's perfected the craft of what I dub sentimental sabotage. She knows precisely which triggers to activate to provoke you to prompt your louder tone so she can portray the injured. To cause your departure so she can charge indifference to draw you in, so she can wear you out with looping debates lacking closure. Because closure wasn't the goal. The goal was to sap you, to empty your sentimental reserves, to ensure no vigor remains for recognizing your plight. And once you're utterly sapped, operating on sentimental fumes, that's when she unleashes the demands. You ought to be more affectionate. You ought to earn more. You ought to be handier domestically. You ought to engage more with the offspring, yet grant her additional room. You ought to be bolder intimately, yet more attuned to her desires. You ought to provide, yet remain sentimentally present. You ought to be sturdy, yet exposed. You ought to be autonomous, yet utterly committed to her. You ought to embody all for all constantly. And when you unavoidably stumble, since these requisites are outright unachievable concurrently, she can express letdown once more. Here's a fact that'll sting but could preserve your mind. She generates issues because your focus on issues is the sole focus she comprehends. She lacks knowledge of dwelling in tranquility, in balance, in basic satisfaction. She requires turmoil like flora requires moisture. She requires strife like respiration requires oxygen. Because absent it, she confronts the awful truth that she lacks self-identity or desires. She merely knows discontent. And as her life's mail, that must stem from you. I observed this befall my sibling across 15 years. Began as this assured fellow ran his enterprise, possessed hobbies, pals, and existence. 15 years on, he's seeking spousal approval for a coffee en route to employment. He's justifying fresh footwear, like presenting a thesis. He's declined 3 advancements since she claimed it'd steal excessive family time. Yet at home, she gripes he's perpetually in the way, he remains oblivious. He deems this standard. He deems this matrimony. He deems this affection. But here's what truly shatters a guy, what truly erodes him to nil. It's not the dominance or strife or censure. It's the shifting targets, the unattainable criteria, the reality that triumph is outright impossible as the contest is fixed. Today, she desires greater sentimental openness. So you reveal, you disclose anxieties, aspirations, uncertainties. Tomorrow, she's repelled by your fragility. She can't desire a guy who weeps, who doubts, who seeks comfort. So you harden, You turn impassive. You manage issues solo. Now you're sentimentally remote. You're icy. You share not with her. You're akin to cohabiting with an unknown. You outright can't succeed because success isn't embedded. The blueprint is to maintain you eternally unbalanced, perpetually deciphering her wants, perpetually faltering, perpetually striving more. It's akin to a gambling den where the establishment eternally prevails, except departure is barred in UVA. Wagered your whole existence on a contest you do on grasp and quint conquer. Let me recount the instant I truly awakened to the situation. It died. Just secured an advancement, grandest professional milestone, something pursued for 5 years. Arrived home, eager to announce, and know her words. I suppose this implies even scarcer home presence? Not felicitations, not admiration, not delight in my accomplishment. Merely instant conversion to its adverse effect on her. And therein, it registered. Grasped that no feat would garner celebration. No triumph would suffice. No degree of validation would prompt her to view me beyond a subpar utility dispenser who repeatedly missed her unspoken, ever-altering criteria. The truly sly element is how she'll portray this all as your shortfall in being a genuine male. A genuine male would intuit her desires unprompted. A genuine male would remain unfazed by her tempers. A genuine male would furnish all she requires while requiring zilch. A genuine male would appreciate the chance to attend her. She's not demolishing you. See, she's merely let down your not fulfilling potential. And fortunate you're that she's present to perpetually highlight your shortcomings. And this is where it turns profoundly shadowy. Post years of this, you commence accepting it. You begin pondering. Perhaps you truly are deficient. Perhaps you truly are fortunate she endures you. Perhaps you truly ought to appreciate her retention over superior options. Your whole self-perception warps around her discontent. You misplace who you were pre her perpetual letdown as life's score. You overlook your former assurance, dignity, self-value, independent of her day's quality. The intimate space turns another arena, another zone of inevitable defeat. When you start, you're a lust-driven beast, fixated solely on that. When you abstain, you're uninterested in her. You must be unfaithful. You must be otherwise inclined. Issue must lie with you. The act turns a valuation session where you're perpetually assessed and routinely deemed insufficient. Too quick, too leisurely, too intense, too mild, too routine, too odd. And forbid an instant of malfunction, as that sparks a partnership emergency demanding infinite dialogue and comfort. But not excessive comfort lest you're clingy. She exploits her sentiments while barring yours. Her rough workday demands household caution. Your rough workday demands maturation and positivity retention. Her tension is legitimate and needs backing. Your tension is self-induced and requires superior management. Her sobs are authentic pain displays. Your sobs are coercion or frailty. Her fury is warranted. Your fury is mistreatment. And amid this, she upholds the story of her victimhood. She's the forfeiter of all. She's the deserver of superior. She relinquished aspirations for you despite no request. She could have selected any, yet picked you, and observe your repayment. She manages all for this unit while you merely labor, as if laboring for unit support is leisure, if provision pressure is honor overload. The seclusion is tactical. Your companions turn issues. That chum from school days, he's negative sway. Your sibling, he disliked her from start. Your folks, they're overly entangled. Gradually, your backing circle vanishes until she's sole echo in your mind, sole viewpoint absorbed, sole arbiter of value. In post-total seclusion, post no alternate for truth verification, that's when true demolition commences. She revises past to cast you as every tale's antagonist. That overlooked milestone turns proof of bond neglect. That dispute 3 years prior turns evidence of abusive traits. Every error cataloged for deployment when needed to recall your fortune in her retention. Meanwhile, her errors merely retorts to your lapses. Her harshnesses merely replies to your deficiencies. Her disloyalties merely your inducements. Now, here's the hook. The element that'll truly scramble your thoughts sporadically, sufficiently to retain attachment. She'll turn affectionate. She'll revert to the lady you adored. She'll turn gentle and tender and grateful, and you'll ponder. This is the shift. We've pivoted. Matters will differ henceforth, but it never endures, as that affection isn't genuine shift. It's merely sporadic reward, strongest mental device for fostering habit and reliance. Those affection instances are designed to sustain hope, sustain effort, sustain faith. That correct formula unlocks perpetual joy for her. But impossible, as her discontent isn't you-linked. Never was. Her discontent concerns her. Concerns scars predating you. Concerns demands no person fulfills. Concerns an abyss no forfeiture of yours plugs. You're not her equal. You're her sentimental crutch. You're her target. You're her rationale for life's shortfall. And while you occupy that position, while you tolerate that handling, she persists in demolishing you. Not from malice, but from your permission, from your consent to demolition, the remedy. And this'll seem overly basic, yet its fact is ceasing involvement in self-demolition. Cease striving for her joy. Not your role and outright unfeasible. Cease justifying self. You owe no ledger of daily minutes. Cease regretting existence needs humanity. Cease seeking approval for self-life. Cease viewing her letdown as emergency to resolve. I grasp your thoughts, but such action prompts departure, and perhaps so. But query this. What precise loss? A lady lacking esteem for you? Is a lady viewing you as perpetual letdown? A lady gradually pulverizing your essence? That's no loss. That's freedom. That's life reclamation. That's recollecting pre-drama supporting role self. The fact is, and this delayed my grasp, a lady truly adoring you shuns your demolition. She seeks construction with you, expansion with you, life confrontation with you as equal, not overseer or detractor or arbiter. She seeks your triumph. Revels in wins, backs through losses. She shuns tallying, shuns resentment, shuns vulnerability armament. She enhances life over perpetual depletion. If your lady renders you tinier, frailer, lesser, she lacks love. She might require you rely on you, dread solitude, but not love. Love shuns reduction, love magnifies, love shuns depletion, love invigorates, love shuns tension, love fosters calm, if your experience diverges. Not love, something alternate, something poisonous, something eventually devouring your positives if permitted. I urge this now. Recall last genuine joy, genuine ease, genuine self. Was she present, or solo, or with companions or elsewhere sans her? If life's peak joys lack her, what reveals her life's contribution? If lighter sans her and burdened upon return, what reveals her essence burden? You possess one existence, one chance at being, and you're expending it, gradually eroded by one viewing you as blended fun source and sentimental cleaner. You're expending it regretting self, contracting to match her tight acceptability, perishing incrementally to comfort her malfunction. Is that desired for ensuing 10, 20, 30 years? Is that desired heritage? Is that desired offspring model? Because here's an offspring lesson from dynamic observation. Sons learn, males serve female sentiments, needs irrelevant, love equals disrespect tolerance. Daughters learn male mistreatment, liberty, feeling superior, entitlement for mere being. You're not solely self. You're instructing successors this demolition as standard, tolerable, affection appearance. The escape simpler than conceived, yet tougher than envisioned. You must accept antagonist label as dysfunction cessation prompts her selfish, harsh, deserting portrayal. You must accept her letdown as year's controller. And liberation means indifference there too. You must accept solitude as solitude infinitely superior to companionship-inducing isolation. Commence minor. Deny something, anything, sans defense or rationale. Exit sans approval or detailed plan. Hold differing view and maintain despite her debate push. Observe reaction. Observe intensification. Observe manipulation. Arsenal deployment for compliance restoration. And observe sans yield, sans collapse, sans servant reversion. She must either esteem you or expose true self. Some ladies confronting indestructible male truly improve as partners. They'll grasp drama and dominance failed their joy too, and adapt, but numerous won't. Numerous intensify till bond unsustainable. And fine is bond requiring self-demolition for sustenance, unworthy of preservation. The key grasp is this: shuns tyrant transformation, or mistreatment. It's about limits, self-esteem, independent approval life. It's about wholeness over side role. It's about recollecting your importance, needs importance, joy importance. In any contrary convincer undeserves life spot. See, I grasp this tough absorption. I grasp probable years, decades, investment in bond. I grasp probable offspring, joint holdings, full existence around malfunction. But remaining in self-demolishing scenario isn't heroic. Isn't fine paternity or manhood. Is instructing surroundings that garbage treatment acceptable. And eventually you'll accept deservedness. You shun deservedness. You merit equal. Who perceives you, values you, backs you, adores you for essence, not provisions. You merit domestic calm, bed ease, self-freedom sans, perpetual censure, and verdict. You merit lady life enhancer over perpetual depleter. Decision yours. You can persist permitting piecemeal demolition till hollow husk remains motioning, or cease self-demolition involvement. Claim existence and either metamorphose bond or seek true companionship desirer, not mere provision. Either path. Initial move is situation recognition. Admission this shuns love, shuns normal, and shuns acceptance mandate. Your future self hinges on present choice. The male possible, existence possible, calm possible. All awaits beyond demolition cessation willingness. Shun another day, month, year delay. Shun till salvage not remains. Time present, choice yours. Existence. Actual existence, not this partial acceptance. Awaits self-choice once.